Dear friends, today is Tammuz, the beginning of the 3 weeks, and the Mishnah discusses all of the events that occurred on this day. But specifically, I want to draw your attention to one event. This was a day in which the walls of Yerushalayim were breached, and that breach culminated 3 weeks later with the destruction of the first Beis HaMikdash and the second Beis HaMikdash. And to me, what Tammuz always represented was that moment when you look at your life, you look at yourself, and you realize that there are certain things in a state of disrepair, certain things that are broken. And in that moment of clarity, a person has a choice. I could ignore it. I could pretend like everything is just fine, kind of sweep it under the rug, go on business as usual. Or I could do something about it. I could find the courage to, number one, acknowledge, and number two, try to devise a plan to do something about it. And if you choose the first approach and ignore it, it works. It really does. A lot of us go through life like that. Except, one big except, there comes a certain point where everything kind of just implodes, explodes. You could only ignore your life problems for so long. And at some point in time, they're going to boomerang back. They're going to come back and they're going to explode. And you're going to have no choice but to deal with them. And in that moment, when you have to deal with it, after perhaps years or decades of ignoring it, it's so much more difficult. That Shivasa Tammuz, when the walls of Yerushalayim were breached, that was like a siren going off to Klal Yisrael, something so broken, something so wrong. But Chavra, we ignored it. And as a result of ignoring it, it blew up in our face on the 9th of Av, with the loss of our beautiful Beis HaMikdash. Imagine if when the walls were breached, Klal Yisrael would have said, you know what, there's something really wrong, there's something really broken, we need to fix this. Perhaps we could have avoided that terrible catastrophe, the loss of the Beis HaMikdash and all of the ensuing catastrophes that brought in its wake. But we ignored our problems. We swept it under the rug. We pretended it was business as usual. We didn't address that which was broken, and as a result, we are still here today mourning this catastrophic loss. I think the avoda for Shavasar B'Tammuz and the avoda for the 3 weeks is to take today to introspect a little bit, just to find the courage, what's broken inside of me. And Chavra, we all have it. We have things that are broken inside of us. And I know I can't fix everything. That I know, or at least I can't fix everything at once. But I can fix something. You see, we often think that the avodah of the 3 weeks is just to mourn for the Beis HaMikdash, but that's not true. I mean, that is true, but that's only part of it. The avodah of the 3 weeks is to try to rectify the mistakes of the past. And what we did as a people historically is we ignored the things that were broken and therefore, again, allowed everything to just simply implode. The avodah of the 3 weeks is not to repeat that same mistake again and to look inside ourselves and to ask myself, what's broken? Because I'm tired of sweeping things under the rug. I'm tired of pretending that everything is okay when it's really not. I want to find the courage to confront. I want to find the courage to deal. I want to find the courage to fix, because if I could fix things now, before they reach, like emergency levels, if I could fix things now, kind of like on a Shivasar B'Tammuz level, and not wait until they escalate to a Tisha B'Av level, then I could actually affect real change in my life. We have a choice to make. We could continue ignoring, continue sweeping, continue pretending that everything is okay, and know that some way, somehow, at some point later on, I'm going to have my Tisha B'Av. I'm going to have my moments where everything comes out, everything explodes, and then I have to deal with it in crisis mode. Or I could be a bit more proactive. I could be a Shivasar B'Tammuz Jew. And a Shivasar B'Tammuz Jew is someone who sees the things that are broken. I see the breach in my walls. I see the cracks in my personalistic edifice. I see the things that are not working well. And today is the day that I pledge to myself, I'm going to do something about it. I can't fix everything. But I'm going to mend one breach. I'm going to find something that I could begin to work on. I'm going to use these 3 weeks, not only to cry and to mourn over that which has been lost, but to ensure that there are no more losses, to ensure that there's no more personal catastrophes, to ensure that there's no more personal Tisha B'Av. I'm going to finally summon up the courage to identify the things that are in a state of disrepair within me and to begin to do something about it. Imagine if we use the next 3 weeks to identify all of the breaches which exist within our personalistic edifice, to identify all the things that are broken, all the things that are in a state of disrepair. And although I won't be able to fix all of them, maybe I could fix some of them. And if we all do that as individuals, if we use these weeks to really mend that which is broken inside ourselves, then perhaps HaKadosh Baruch Hu would choose to mend that which is broken for all of us. And halavai, by the time we reach the 9th of Av, we will not have to observe it as a day of mourning, a day of fasting, a day of loss, but we will be Zocheh Meretz Hashem to celebrate it as a day of rebuilding. If we use these 3 weeks to rebuild ourselves, then in Meretz Hashem we will be Zocheh to celebrate Tisha B'Av as a day in which our beautiful Bayis Shlishi will be rebuilt. B'mihera b'yameinu. Amen.